inviting you today. This is the third time in less than 6 months. We are converging for this important media briefing. Recall that on 25th December we assembled you here and ourselves to talk about the state of democracy in Nigeria prior to the 2023 general elections. And on 19th, that one was specifically focused on INEC and is 2023 election midweek. And on 19th of February, we converge you guys and ourselves again in furtherance of the final touch regarding the 2023. So regarding the 2023 election, which we are conducted, and all of us saw what happened, the predictions, private elections, and the justifications associated with our electoral advocacy. So now we are bringing you people and all of us together again for purpose of this time around. We are going to talk about the world-class database from the southeast, specifically Imo State. A lot have happened in Imo State in the past 29 months, or January 2021 to this particular month being May 2023. So today we are here for purpose of presenting or unveiling a world-class report or database concerning what is happening in Imo. Let's have one house. It is a settled principle in the field of criminology and the law that when a despicable act is perpetrated, or a crime, or a heinous crime is perpetrated, and it is not investigated and documented, then in the eyes of the two fields of study, no crime has been committed and no perpetrator identified, as well as the victims of the crime said to have been committed. So in line with this, and as professionals in the two fields, we cannot fold our hands and allow only media reportage of what is happening in Imo, which is a case study of what is happening in the southeast. And that is why today we are unveiling a special research and investigative report on the goings on in Imo State. This time around, we are focusing strictly on grisly and egregious human rights abuses and violations in the past 29 months in Imo State. And what we are trying to do is to having critically look at various reports, media reports, and so on and so forth about killings, house burnings, this, that in Imo State. We saw a vacuum created, and that vacuum is certain critical questions have not gotten answers. I have always said that the conscience of every society is the media and the civil society organizations. A society where only media functions and without the effort or complementary hands of the civil society organization, various civil society organizations, then that society runs the high risk of being transformed into dictatorship and tyranny. That explains why Cameroon and other countries are today function today as fully transformed dictatorial and tyrannical society. So that's what we are doing today. So we don't want to allow that situation to take place. We as members of leading civil society organizations must be nihilistic and remain strong, unpurchasable, and uncompromising in matters like this. And that is why we have taken the pen to take a critical study of what is going on in Imo State. Who are those killing who in Imo State? And who are those people being killed in Imo State? And why are they being killed? And when and how are they being killed? Properties are being burned down in Imo State, or destroyed, or pillaged, or looted in Imo State. Who are the owners of those properties? Is it correct in the eyes of the law for properties that belong to defenseless civilians to be burned down, or destroyed, or pillaged, or looted? Under what circumstances? What are the provisions of the law, legal framework about what is going on in Imo State? So totality of this is what the Intersociety study has taken a critical look at. And today we are unveiling a report that is 33 pages, a critical report, a report that is vested within the confines of a criticism. A report that will be very difficult to be challenged negatively or criticized, intellectually criticized negatively. So this report has all the things you need to know about what is going on in Imo. So 33 pages in all, with 6 pages imbued as the executive summary. So what we are going to do is to look at the 6 pages, then touch few others contained in other pages. The title of this report is "In 29 Months," that is January 2021 to May 2023, a period of 29 months under Hope Uzodimma as governor. Security forces and the allied militias killed 900 unarmed citizens, wounded 700, arbitrarily arrested 3,500, extorted and freed 1,400, disappeared 300, burned down 1,200 civilian homes, displaced their 30,000 owners, and forced 500,000 citizens in active age bracket to flee, to escape being shot and killed, or abducted and disappeared in security custody. The number 2 is for state actors, armed state actors, the police, the army, DSS, what have you. Then second one has to do with armed non-state actors, like Fulani, jihadis, counterfeit agitators, death squad, street criminal, violent criminal entities, etc. They have been found to have jointly killed not less than 700, including 400 killed in captivity and 300 killed in open shooting, and abducted 900 others. This is the situation, the summation of the situation, the dicey situation, security situation or human rights report in Imo. So if you look at under the safety summary, 1,500, a total of 3,500 people, civilian or armed. The essence of this press conference is open our eyes because nobody knows it all. And in most cases, media practitioners do not know what it means to say somebody is unarmed or defenseless and somebody is armed. And sometimes some media guys will highlight or give a kind of reportorial prominence to policemen killed, soldiers killed, as if killing civilians or defenseless others are a routine, and they're not. It is not true. Within the context of international law, in any situation of armed conflict or armed violence, the casualties related to emanating from or arising from fighting parties are not technically counted. That is the reason why they say you differentiate between a defenseless civilian, a defenseless citizen or an armed citizen, and somebody who is another person that is regimented, somebody who is armed, whether he belongs to state actor armed entities or non-state actor armed entities. These are technicalities that we need to know. Very, very technical. In most cases, we tend to ignore them. I remember sometimes in 2020 or 2021, there was an attack, military attack at Orifide. And somebody called me and said, "Comrade, do you realize," a senior, a respected media practitioner for that matter, "do you realize what we are talking about? A DPO was killed. Do you know what it means to kill a DPO?" I said, "DPO was killed?" I said, "What is the position of the law, international law, since you are lecturing me?" No, every life lost is condemnable. Every life lost is condemnable. But in the eyes of the international law, that is why the international law outline laws of the war, laws of international conflict. And in the context of international conflict, we have interstate and intra. The international law specify that. They say, just like misunderstanding, the law is that misunderstanding is inevitable. When two persons start relating, misunderstanding becomes inevitable. That is to say, one day they will misunderstand. Even an individual can misunderstand herself or himself. And when that kind of situation occurs and it gets to aggravating situation, we can now have what we call suicide, self-emulation, and what have you, post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic stress disorder, and things like that. So it is inevitable. But what the theorists are saying is the handling style, that a misunderstanding can be constructively transformed or destructively transformed, or constructively or transformatively, constructively transformed. So the handling style is the point of contention and not the misunderstanding, because it is there even from the womb. When a woman is pregnant and the child at a point is not kicking, then something is wrong. And when the child starts kicking, the child has started protesting, and so on and so forth. So we must have to know the availability of these technical provisions under the international law. So in Imo State, what the angle we are coming from is who are those killing? From the angle we have explained, there are two categories of killers in Imo. Two major categories. The armed state actors. I hope you know what we mean by armed state actors. And armed non-state actors. And in this report, we identify the armed non-state actors, their number, up to 8 of them. the armed non-state actors killing people in Imo State are 8 in number. As simple as that. Then you now have armed state actors, the army, the various squad in the police, RRS, STS, anti-cultism, IRT, name them. Bunkering, what have you? These people, this squad have been identified empirically as being involved in the killings in Imo. So that's what this report tends to. So now 3,500, because from the point of suspicion to the point of arrest, investigation, indictment, prosecution, and what have you, sentencing, they are all thoroughly examinable under the law. And the law also made us to understand that the status of a criminal is internationally standardized. Who is a criminal? So when you begin to say, oh, because this man is an Igbo man, is a criminal, that is what we call class criminalization. And it's very internationally abominable. When you begin to say, oh, this woman is from Ikwele in River State, you are now hunting her because she is from Ikwele. And that is what we call ethnic profiling, forced labeling and what have you. And our reports have been able to identify all these things. So 3,500 people unarmed. The law is very clear on how to handle unarmed. For instance, when you arrest somebody unarmed and take the person into the custody, if you kill the person here, it becomes unlawful execution. But here it is done with autonomous alacrity. Policemen kill, army kill, and so on and so forth. Anyhow, with reckless abandon and with impunity. That's what we are witnessing in Imo State and by extension the Southeast. So 3,500 people were arrested in 29 months in Imo State, at least conservatively speaking. And out of these 3,500, we have 1,400 of them as those that were heavily extorted before being freed. If you go through the document, you will see the evidence or pieces of evidence. Meanwhile, as we are rolling out this report, you can see the highlights there, some of the highlights. They are all there. They are newsworthy. So having said that, so let's then turn to page 2. You will see armed state actors, killings and burnings, displaced 30,000 and the first 500,000 to flee. These 500,000 people are people in active age bracket. They are fled Imo. They no longer come back to Imo. That's what the killings in Imo State. And the 30,000 people have also been displaced. People chased out of their homes. Innocent people chased out of their homes. Then, under this you have the burning, the details about the burning of 1,200 civilian homes in Imo State in 29 months. Then another one, families no longer bury their dead in Imo. I remember in Imo State, we investigated and found out that approximately 80 communities in at least 20 of the state 27 local government areas. So when people die, they will smuggle those people, they will hire third party and pay the third party. Then the third party will facilitate burial of the dead at the hours of the blue law. After that, then their funerals will now be organized in maybe in Port Harcourt, at least in Onitsha, for instance, as a case study. I witnessed four funerals in Urban local government alone this year, involving people who were killed, who died naturally or unnaturally in Imo State, in those areas that were worst hit. So it's too bad. So if you look under these families no longer buried their dead, you will see the local governments or communities mostly affected. Then armed state actors killed 600 persons unlawfully in Imo. That is unarmed persons, defenseless citizens, and they made 300 others to be, that is, they killed 600 defenseless citizens in, secretly, and 300 in open shooting. So you go through it, you will see the details under that paragraph. Then we have been also established, our investigation also unveiled or unmasked the killer squad, the state actor killer squad involved. We have police, under Nigerian Police Force we have, and the number of people killed, all here under that paragraph. You have the SWAT, you have the RROS. SWAT is Special Weapons and Tactics Squad, formerly Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS. You have RRA, Rapid Response Squad. You have Intelligence Response Squad, or IRT. You have Special Tactical Squad, Anti-Terrorism, Anti-Kidnapping, Anti-Cultism, and so on and so forth. Then you have the personnel of the 34th Brigade, OBZ, in Imo State. They're also part of those, the killers, the killing squad, the state actor killer squad. If you look at it, you see the number of people they killed, and so on and so forth. Then another one is armed state actors attacked and razed 200 synagogues and 300 traditional sanctuaries. You know what we have not told you people is that the killings in Imo are as a result of failed intelligence, failed preventive policing, failed criminal investigation. I'm aware that the Nigerian Police Force Science Laboratory, that is forensic department, is moribund. I'm aware of that. We have a security expert here, a computer security expert. The Nigerian Police Force Forensic Department is moribund. It is under that forensic department you have crime labs, you have ballistic, you have all this and all that. So it's moribund. And Nigerian Police Force is the most powerful policing agency in Nigeria, but the most failed. The Nigerian Army and other members of the armed forces, you must know this, are the most restricted security agencies in Nigeria in terms of power. Their powers are very limited, but they cross over. They always cross red line. So, but the police that is most powerful has also willfully failed. Now, what is happening in the place of this failure? Use of, what do you call it? Hearsay conclusions, false labeling, class criminalization, stigmatization, ethnic profiling, and so on and so forth. You are wearing tattoo. Look at the kind of bango you are with. You are a criminal. You are IPOB terrorist. You are this. You will be killed, and before you know it, the person is instantly killed. No investigation, nothing. No intelligence, nothing. No evidence. No indictable evidence. I can't remember the last time Nigerian police, I'm not talking of army because army is out of it at all. By law, army cannot even investigate or detain or prosecute civilians or citizens of Nigeria that are not subject to the Armed Forces Act of 2004. So I'm talking about the police that has all the squad in the world in this country. I can't remember the last time the Nigerian police force started the investigation, at least in the past 5 years, started the investigation on serious allegation and concluded it. Those of you in the media, you have been interacting with the police, say, we are investigating. Asking them the outcome of that investigation, whether that investigation is conclusive or inconclusive, is a different ballgame. They don't conclude. And again, you ask yourself, all this brouhaha, all this heinous crime, IPOB terrorism, this, that, and what have you, how many convictions have Nigerian police force secured in the Southeast since 2015? I want you people to engage the police, the top officials of the police, and ask them that question. How many convictions have they secured against all this blah, 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 and all that? So you find out that what are we contesting? We are not against the police and security agencies performing their jobs. But you must have to do that within the confines of the law. You don't leave the fighting parties, turn blind eye on fighting parties, and face innocent civilians, defenseless civilians. And when you take somebody unarmed into custody, you are bound to protect the person and give the and allow the person access or provide the person what we call all the custodial liberties. Custodial liberties. But this time they arrest, they torture, they kill, they shoot, and all that. And that is what is happening in Imo State. And by extension, the Southeast. Like I said, the synagogues, it is against the international law. If you go to what we call the laws of the war, laws of armed conflict, that's the Geneva Conventions of 1949, and is three protocols of 1977. If you go there, it is forbidden for religious sanctuaries, symbols of worship, civilian houses to be attacked or destroyed or looted. It is a serious crime under international law. In fact, burning properties that do not constitute what we call military necessity amounts to what we call domicide. It is a crime of domicide. And the Nigerian police and the other security agencies are perpetrating that with utter alacrity or reckless abandon. To the extent that in Imo State, in 29 months, where is it? 200 synagogues and 300 traditional sanctuaries have been destroyed or burned down. Why? Because they say that there is this false narrative that is part of class criminalization, that members of loyalists of Nnamdi Kanu and co are faithful, belong to white garment, is it Sabbatarian church or Sabbath church or something like that?
Judaism.
What have you? So those people that call their churches synagogues, and therefore all members, anybody belonging to that particular church. In fact, they have an association called African Instituted Churches as a member, as a branch of the Christian Association of Nigeria. So anybody attending that church or what have you is labeled IPOB terrorist or sponsor or a herbalist providing charms for IPOB and what have you. And this has been going on to the extent that in Imo State, you saw it, 200 synagogues burned down. No evidence, no investigation, nothing. Then 300 sanctuaries, traditional sanctuaries. Oh, that one, oh, it's a herbal, oh, it's IPOB, it's a ESN, charms provider. Oh, just like that. And that has been the problem. Instead of doing the needful. So under the international law, it amounts to congregation and aggregation of this amounts to crimes against humanity. Or if you like, you can call it war crimes and other internationally prohibited conduct or acts. And they are being perpetrated here with reckless abandon in Nigeria here, particularly in Imo State. Then we are talking about class criminalization and reprisal as being responsible for all the killings by armed state actors in the Southeast. Reprisal. Oh, we've seen it, we've read it in several media. In fact, as a matter of fact, in 2001, the late chief of army staff issued a directive and told soldiers to go to Southeast villages and villages where military personnel are killed and deal with them. That is a height of class criminalization. You don't do that. Even when you go to the house of somebody, if somebody is reasonably suspected of being in conflict with the law, felonious crime, you don't have right to set the family house ablaze. Go after the person and not the family house. It's not every member of that family that is a criminal or a suspected criminal. You don't do that. But here you see them setting houses ablaze. When you ask, yes, it's the house of ESN wanted ESN commander or IPOB terrorist, IPOB member. By the way, by law, nobody has right to kill any member of IPOB that is unarmed. IPOB as an organization does not bear arm. The law says if you are looking for a suspect and the law provides circumstances under which you can open fire, such as when the person is armed and in active service with his arm, assuming you want to arrest him, the person open fire. The law says you can use proportional force. Proportional force. That is why you have international law, fundamental international, part of international law is what we call legitimate self-defense, use of force, and proportionality of force. But here, you see an unarmed person relaxing himself with when you see some people, some squad going there, open fire on the person. When you tell why, say he's an IPO, suspected IPOB member. IPOB is you cannot kill every Muslim in the north and tag them Boko Haram. You cannot go to mosque and burn down a mosque and say it's a training ground for Boko Haram. It's outlawed, but here they do it. Even to the parents of traditional rulers and some Christian compounds. These are the points we are trying to raise here. Particularly by extension east, we have 13 of every 15 openly killed in Imo are unarmed. That's our investigative finding. 15 out of every 15 secretly killed are unarmed. You know what? Once you take somebody into custody, automatically the person is unarmed. You are expected to process the person to the point of the person being transformed, legitimately transformed into a criminal by way of suspicion, by way of arrest, by way of detention within the confines of the law, by way of prosecution, and by way of sentencing by a court of competent jurisdiction. But here, the reverse is the case. Then in terms of non-state actors in Imo have killed because you don't just, if it will be unfair for you to really report the killings by armed state actors. What about non-state actors? So we have also identified non-state actors in Imo as being responsible for killing of not less than 700 defenseless civilians or citizens. in 29 months. Mark my word, in 29 months. By the way, why is it 29 months? 29 months translate to from January 2021 to May 2023. 29 months in the sense that the four biara, and thank God I nearly forgot to mention this. The four biara, the remote causes of the Imo house burnings, mass murders, and what have you, have to do with the controversial judgment of the Supreme Court delivered on 14th January 2020. That was where the whole thing started. Now, after that judgment, a lot of people expressed dissatisfaction. And what was the judgment? The judgment, the Supreme Court of Nigeria magisterially coronated the present governor as the governor of Imo State by bringing in results and the legitimizing result from 388 polling units that are unknown to what? To INEC. And you know, I'm a controversial comrade, I don't spare. Prior to that judgment, there was a controversial priest from Catholic Church that was presidentially contracted to say, I see hope in Imo. But as a born again, within the confines of being controversial, I will not mention his name. I see hope in Imo. Though this thing put together led to what is happening in Imo today. Now it has become, I see hopelessness in Imo. So that's the thing. And that should be a warning to those members of, in the hallowed chambers of justice regarding the pending cases, which I will not mention. That should be a warning. Zebonai Okerigongo will say, I tear shit, I no agree, I tear shit. I can be governor, and nothing will happen. Now somebody has become governor. What is happening in Imo? The future of Imo in ruin, the future of his own land destroyed, everything destroyed. So it's not about clinching of power. I say, you are the governor. What about the circumstances? How do your people feel? What about the normal ways of life, the economic activities, and so on and so forth, the political stability, the security and things like that? Now Imo is in deep crisis because of that singular mistake. So the non-state actors are also responsible for abduction of 900 civilians, and out of which 300 were killed in captivity. 900 civilians abducted in 29 months, 300 killed in captivity. And those 300 killed in captivities are technically described as or called disappearances, victims of what? Disappearances. When you read it through, then calling for international criminal inquiries. This every paragraph in this 33-page, every 33-page report is very, very seductive, inviting and irresistible. It is so tempting that it's a must read. That's what I mean. So now, we are calling for international criminal inquiry. That is because after exposing this thing, the next thing is, what is your prayer? As lawyers, we always ask, what is your prayer? What are your prayers? Sorry. Now, calling for international criminal inquiries and indictment in Imo. So under this arrangement, we are now, the Intersociety is joining forces to call for international criminal inquiries in Imo State, because we have established the fact that sufficiently that crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the other internationally prohibited acts or conduct are taking place in Imo, and the Imo people must be saved. So there is need for international inquiry to take place in Imo, and this international inquiry and sanctions too. You know, it's not only by putting somebody behind bars that we know that you have punished a person. International entitlements, the person is entitled to, if the person is a top military or security officer. So there are so many things that they do in the course of their career pursuit. And when you are able to present this type of indictment document, then definitely it is a very serious punishment on them or against them. We have tested it and we have seen it happening severally. I know a number of them that participated in one way or the other in grisly and egregious human rights abuses in Nigeria since 2015 that can no longer cross international borders. One of them did whatever he could to get contract, international HM programs, scholarship, fellowship, this, that, and what have you. It became difficult. He came back, and one go his way. The authorities now say, okay, come, let us make you head of the oversight function that supervises the Nigerian police force. I will not mention the full name. So that's the thing. So the under the international criminal inquiries, we are calling on, and also starting with the visa ban, we are calling on US, Canada, Australia, UK, EU, France, Germany, and Southeast Asia like South Korea, Taiwan, and so on and so forth, for them to being their satellite on the people we talked about. Then again, very strongly, we are calling on the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Honorable Karim A. Khan, a UK from UK, President of ICC, George, a Polish Vice President of ICC, and the second Vice President to do the needful on Imo State and the Southeast region. Our calling on ICC to intervene is grounded in Nigeria being signatory to ICC and having signed and ratified the ICC statute in 2001 in furtherance of Nigeria's international rights and obligations, and to prosecute and judicially convict the perpetrators, which they have failed to do. So then we also calling on Nigeria on the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights at Geneva and in New York to intervene jointly by joint or separate investigations through the UN Human Rights Special Rapporteurs like, for instance, the Rapporteur on Summary, Arbitrary and Extrajudicial Executions of killing, the Special Rapporteur on the arbitrary detention, the Special Rapporteur on torture and other inhuman and degrading treatment or punishment, the Special Rapporteur on involuntary or enforced disappearances, and Special Rapporteur on the right to adequate housing, and so on and so forth, to do the needful. Then the likes of Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and others are also called to intervene by way of investigation and the presentation of their report on Imo State, killings in Imo. Then finally, others are legal framework. If you go through the listing, you see the legal framework, guiding the operations. We have operations of security forces and the other non-state actors in Imo State. And from there you can see the statistics, supporting statistics, the names of the victims of disappearances, names of victims of arbitrary arrest, names of the victims of torture, and names of the victims of open killings. They're all here. Then the special investigation we conducted in Oshu local government area and the local government area of Imo State about the civilian house burning or domicide in Imo. You can see the video here. The video we gathered. At the end of it all, you will also see the link to the special documentary regarding that special investigation. You see here, included in this report. Then finally, the impunity, the aspect that has to do with impunity, hardening the perpetrators in Imo is also here. Then finally, the key perpetrators, those who are involved in the Imo mass murders, about abductions, disappearances, house burnings, and other arbitrary arrests and detention, and other internationally prohibited acts. That is the content in the last page, being page 33. The perpetrators, those involved in Imo. Thank you so much.